So, I'm here again at one of my favorite places on earth, which is, I'm across from the powwow in Kettle Point on the reservation, which is on the lake. It actually faces due west, so the sunsets here are phenomenal. But now we're in the winter, so that it's farther southwest. But anyway, I wanted to clarify. So Tom's place here in Kettle Point is called Organic Solutions. I'm not sure what I said before, but I'll post a picture of it, of his sign in front of his place. Anyway, so let's see. What was I gonna say about this? Okay. Kind of continuing on with our native land and Canada and going into the future, which requires expanding into the north, especially with, like what I would suggest, again, I would love to see Canada disband our monarchy, replace the role of the Governor General, oh my God, I always struggle with that word, and replace that role with the Grand Chief of Chiefs, which is elected. See, then that's, at least that's another sort of semi-elected power. And in this particular case, like I said, the Governor General, who isn't going to, but could intervene and force Parliament back, because we are actually facing a crisis right now. We weren't in COVID. Most COVID deaths were people with several comorbidities, like myself, weakened immune systems, and those people are always at fault with the flu or the elderly. Like, again, the Barrington Declaration, the Great Barrington Declaration was dismissed as fringe, just like the truckers were fringe Canadians. But again, the media was able to sell Golden Socks Boy, and the weak-minded fools gobbled it up. But speaking of weak-minded fools, Jordan Peterson needs to pick a lane. I guess I'm one to talk. I like to speak on different subjects as well, but he's talking about Alberta and Saskatchewan joining America as states, and this is where everyone needs to give their head a shake about that. So look, our healthcare, although it isn't even really that good, is still a million times better than American neo-fascist healthcare. Remember, neo-fascism is the outsourcing of everything, privatization of everything. Like tying that into the USAID debate. Like, this is how the CIA has operated for years. They work through third parties, etc., and that's how they get around laws, and they can cook the books. Like, again, it's a club and you ain't in it. Like, we need serious reform. And we need, for one, to recognize that our system is, well, not only is it broken, it's on the very last throes America is the last Rome, and it is falling. And this is why we're having conversations about being annexed. And again, annexing is an act of war if it is opposed. So, Trump, I don't know who is advising you, but picking a fight with Canada is a bad idea for a bunch of different reasons. For one, all the really smart Americans are Canadians. My friend Eric used to call that the Great Canadian Brain Drain. And I get it. I was offered to make a lot of money in America too. And I turned it down. But I don't know. I think that was the right call for me. Like, I enjoy teaching because I don't care about selling your fucking products. I hate capitalism. But I'm also not a pinko commie. Like, here's the problem. Like I said before, our political spectrum has gone so far right that the NDP is unrecognizable to the NDP that Jack Layton was the leader of. I can't say this enough. I wish Jack Layton had been Prime Minister, because he may have been able to pull us out of the really stupid deals that the Conservatives and Liberals have done over and over and over again, and have just bent the knee and did whatever the Americans told them to do, or what the British told them to do, or in the case of Quebec, whatever the French told them to do. We've always been doing something someone else has told us to do. And this is why we need to unite as Canadians more so now than ever. We have to actually reconcile with our natives. We need to build new treaties with our natives of the North, especially because there are valuable resources up there that belong to the people that live up there, aka the Inuit, right? So again, if Native people were actually represented in our court, they could intervene as the Governor General and say, nope, you got to get back to work. We need an election. You guys need to actually hold an election within your party and not just select Carney, who also, oh my God, I don't know. To me, the Liberal Party has lost its mind entirely. But if you think you're going to sell Carney to the Canadian people, well, vaccines are safe and effective. Just like, heroin was a safe and effective way to cure your cocaine addiction. That's how long things that are unsafe and dangerous have been called safe and effective by an industry that makes money from people that are sick, right? This is why Robert Kennedy Jr. is trying to make America healthy again, and that makes him an anti-vaxxer, right? But like one of his points that he made, like this is another thing. The treatment of Robert Kennedy Jr., it's disgusting to me. His father was killed by the CIA. The CIA, have been behind all, again, I may do a longer video on this at some point, but like basically the CIA, Charles Manson, if you read the Tom O'Neill book, or even just watch the episode of him on Rogan, which is awesome. But basically what happened with Charles Manson is he was a CIA op. He was in and out of jail all the time, got a free pass, which is why he had sort of a Christ complex, because he was literally above the law. He was allowed to do whatever he wanted to and was given a pass by the CIA. Now, again, you should refer to Tom O'Neill's work, as he spent 20 years looking into this stuff. But my takeaway from that was that what that did in effect was destroy the peace movement, right? Because after that, any hippie was a dirty Charles Manson hippie who was a pinko commie psychopath and Satan worshiper. And see, this is where, to go on a bit of a tangent, the Illuminati and Cabal, they reveal themselves in what they call other people. It's what Carl Jung would call projecting, right? But this is exactly what they do. And I mean, look at Justin Trudeau. All he ever does is project and distract and make lame excuses, which again, he just gets a total pass for. I don't know if I've said this yet, but I want to make sure I get it on the record. When I was his age, when he was in blackface several times, I was working for Greenpeace, trying to actually do something about the planet, and which is a great tie-in with Robert Kennedy Jr. Like he was an environmental lawyer that made the Hudson River a healthy river again. And like, to his point, no one called him anti-fish, but what he really did was work to get the mercury out of fish. And because you can't eat that fish. There's a reserve that's near Sarnia, Lake St. Clair. I can't remember the name of the res, but they haven't had a male child in, I think, 5 generations. And this is something that's been overlooked. There's been documentaries done on it, still nothing. But they live downstream from Chemical Valley. So, I wonder why that is, right? But I mean, really, no male children. That's genocide, man. That's how eugenics works. Sterilization, which again is another practice we've done over and over again. Our history is far darker than anyone wants to admit, and this is where the wheels fall off, because you can't handle the truth, right? Because you can't handle the truth. And the truth is that again, like a guy like Jordan Peterson, who's like saying, Alberta needs to be compensated for all their oil sand that is so precious. Well, the reality is our oil sand. My cousin Tim went to the oil sands young, like in the 80s. And he was like, "Oh, there's all this sand there, but we can't use it because it's filled with sand. It's too dirty. You can't do anything with it." But technology has kind of come up to that. But from what I understand, in order for us to even break even with oil, with our tar sand oil, we have to sell it at above $100 a barrel. Whereas the Saudis produce Saudi crude for $4 or $5 a barrel, and some people say $3. So in other words, we're never competing with that. This is what we need to do. We need to weigh, is the juice worth the squeeze? And also, why would we want to create a pipeline again? This is why our U.S. and Canadian economies are so tied in. The tariffs, like Trump is posing. Trump's fronting on that. Like, give me a break. 25% tariffs would screw all of us, and that would not make your base happy, who actually do work in the same auto industry that we ship the same part back, a dozen times. Like, it's silly. We are very, very close. We actually should have completely, truly free trade. Like, one of the things in our dairy sector, which again is, we're not, Trump would say we're not very nice, or whatever. Like, I can't do a good Trump, but Jamie Foxx crushes that, but I can't do a good Trump. But anyway, so the point is that we have an interconnected economy that is totally reliant on I think, well, I can't remember the terms, but it's basically ship to need, like in our shipping. And we're shipping everything everywhere because that makes more money for everyone. And, we're also burning jet fuel and and yet Trudeau is working so hard for the environment. He was going to plant so many trees. Apparently, he hasn't planted one tree yet. So again, we can't forget this stuff. We can't forget that it's all a bunch of nonsense, and we really do have to have we have to have some real leadership. And again, this is where I'm talking about where it goes back to the Northwest, to expanding the North, giving an incentive for young people to go there and populate these areas, but also have better infrastructure within Canada so that you could take a train across Canada. It's not gonna break you, right? Like China, apparently, you can pretty much go right across China for, I don't know, like $5 or something. China has also eliminated hunger, which we could easily do if we incorporated foods programs into all our schools, and a breakfast and lunch was provided. And that would be a win-win for a bunch of different reasons. For one, it would save parents that grocery money. And for two, it may inspire parents to have like a dinner together at night, right? Where, they can all cook and help, right? Because they're learning those skills in school. We should have greenhouses where kids are growing their own lettuce, tomatoes, herbs, etc. It's not like there's any lack of ideas. Well, there does seem to be a lack of ideas, but it's because you have the same people doing the same song and dance over and over again. And I don't know, I'm just sort of sick of the whole rat race. Like, we don't need a land army anymore. What we need is a very strong navy. So Pierre Poilievre, again, seems to be, the only one that's even close to the mark. And I can't believe I'm not endorsing him. I wouldn't vote for Pierre. But I wouldn't vote, I used to be a Green Party voter, but I can't vote for them either because they fall in line with all this shit. I admire the Irish politicians that actually call shit out. Like when Sinead O'Connor tore up a picture of the Pope. She knew what she was talking about. Nobody else did. Like, it's a joke. So, I think we don't need an army. We need a stronger Air Force. We should make all of those planes in Canada from tip to top to toe. Like, right? Canada first. I like that idea. That would be a first, actually. The first time Canada has ever put Canada first. But again, a part of that conversation, a big part of that conversation is our natives. Because this is their land, and especially the North. In fact, again, this is a part of how we claim it because of our claim to the indigenous people, right? Yeah, I'll leave it there.